right, welcome back to the Ultimate Sports Network, Real Boxing Talk. Did I get that right again? Okay. We've got a lot to deal with today. So, John, Charles, and our special guest, John, why don't you take it from here, and we'll run from there.
Well, this man that I see to my left is someone I met a few years ago, and we were affiliated with something that we won't discuss, but that's old news, right, Edward? So we moved on past that, and we're all good. And yeah, whatever happened, blah blah blah. But I've talked to Edward a number of times about his grandfather, Henry Armstrong, undoubtedly one of the greatest, or Edward would make a compelling case, the greatest fighters that ever walked this earth. His story is compelling. Edward is obviously very passionate about it. As he said before we went on the air, he's sitting in the office of the foundation that he runs, that his grandfather created, I think in the 50s. Did he create that, Edward?
Yeah, I believe in the early 50s, yes.
Early 50s, like 52, right? Something like that after his career.
Yes, sir.
You're retired, right? And so this is Edward's grandfather. I mean, we're talking about a full-fledged legend who I believe, and I know Edward would agree with this, has never quite got the due that he deserves. Not even quite, has never got the due he deserves. There should be a movie about this man. There should be, I mean, you're talking about pulling yourself up from nothing and becoming a great champion and great person in your life. So that's why I thought about Edward, because we've talked about his grandfather, and I try to get stories on him on Max Boxing. As we know, his grandfather's birthday was on the 12th, and Edward's always so gracious about it. But it's got to get out there, you know. And I always think about Teddy Atlas when we talked to him on the Ringside Boxing Show a few years ago. He was pretty monotone during most of the interview, but when Edward's grandfather was brought up, his whole voice, his demeanor, everything changed. He's like, oh my God, how don't people know about this guy holding 3 titles at the same time? You know, so it's just amazing. So the idea was always to get the word out more as possible about Henry Armstrong. And there's no one better, I believe, than this man here, Edward Armstrong Scott, who obviously loved his grandfather, wishes he was here, no doubt, to help him all this. and
it would be much easier.
Knows more about him probably than anybody. So it was just natural to have Edward on. So Edward, tell us about it. Tell us what you're doing and tell us about your grandfather.
Well, you know, John, Frank, and Charles, I appreciate you guys for allowing me this opportunity, this platform on behalf of the Henry Armstrong Foundation. We're so grateful for this platform to be able to speak about boxing legend Henry Armstrong. We're very passionate about his legacy, and we want to make sure that it lives on. That not only that we're building a culture of positive thinking for young kids to believe in themselves, to put their purpose together, to make a difference. And so with that, the foundation is embodying boxing legend Henry Armstrong. I want people to know that my grandfather was very, very dedicated to the sport of boxing. He was a fighter who wanted to be successful. He wanted to be a super athlete. A lot of people don't understand what goes into being a super athlete. And any fighter today or present should take a look at Henry Armstrong if they want to become a great fighter and also have great character. A lot of people don't realize that my grandfather wanted to be a super athlete. He built a gym in his basement, belongs to his own parents, and to let anybody know that he wanted to do this. So his belief and his dedication for the fans was amazing. When he stepped into the ring, he made sure he gave his all. He gave 3 minutes of fighting nonstop to make sure that the fans get what they paid for. He was respecting his fans. And so in order to be a champion, I believe that you must not only respect yourself and family, but you must respect the fans and others when it comes down to a career of boxing that you're doing right now in his field. So again, a lot of fighters today and former fighters who know about him, you know, we realize a lot of times when they're asked, especially fighters in his weight class, when they're asked, who do you think is the best fighter past or present? Give me your list. A lot of these guys, they never mention his name. the ones who should really respect boxing and tell the truth to people out there and let them know. There's fighters who say that they broke all the records. I'm not going to mention their names. I'm sure people can figure this out for themselves because, like I said, again, I'm not here to name bash or disrespect anyone. I'm here with the facts, and that's all we're doing. And I prefer that people would just read history and understand, but a lot of people don't do that. So my facts and information comes back from history, articles, and also personal information that I know, and also information that my grandfather told me as well. So I'm not here just speaking on things and not saying, just talking off the top of my head. I'm going by facts here. And what I'm saying that my grandfather to this day holds the most defense in the welterweight title. And you have welterweights who, when they're asked this, the ones that know about him, current and former, they will not mention him. He holds the weight, 19 defenses. That stands for something. And then let's take the welterweight division. He defended that welterweight title 5 times, less than 21 days, and 5 different cities. Unheard of to this day. Guys, again.
Wait, say that again.
He defended his welterweight title 5 times in October 1939, within 21 days in 5 different cities, and won all of them.
Wow. Okay.
And also, he was 27-0 in 1 year, 26 by knockout. Now, and I also want to say this, what a lot of people don't know, this is how dedicated my grandfather was. His record that you see at BoxRec doesn't reflect his real true record. My grandfather used to knock out 3 or 4 guys a night. A night.
Wow.
And this is what I'm saying. If he was here in this time and in this era, he would line up all the welterweights straight up and fight them in 1 month. He didn't need a training camp.
Right.
This is how dedicated this man was to his craft. These guys were hungry. They had to feed their families. And my grandfather started with nothing. He didn't have 25 cents to his name. He went and put on his father's clothes, went to work, and people thought he was an older person working. The guy who ran the railroad at that time looked at him and said, "Hey, we know you're no young kid. We're not going to tell you to go on and work." So he's working around grown men driving in spikes on the railroad. They look at him. One day, a flyer hits his leg. It says, "Kid Chocolate earned $75,000 for 45 minutes of work." My grandfather showed it to the guys, and they looked at him. They said, "Little fella, you don't have 25 cents in your name. How you going to be champion?" And see, my grandfather thought that you would be champion the same way Kid Chocolate was champion. Kid Chocolate went out and was fighting people out in the street and got discovered by his manager. So my grandfather was taking boxing gloves. He bought 2 pair of boxing gloves. He was walking around in St. Louis challenging people to fight. Anybody that would fight him, because he thought that was how he was supposed to get discovered. So then he walks and goes to the gym, YMCA. He meets a guy there named Henry Armstrong. Now, this is the guy who he's got his name from. He's doctor. They look like brothers.
Okay.
If you saw him. Now, what I'm saying to you, at this particular time when he went in there, he came in with the gloves. So Harry was a more experienced fighter. So Harry told him, he said, "What are you doing with all those gloves on? You can't fight. What you gonna do?" And my grandfather told him, he says, "I beat guys bigger than you." He said, "Well, get in the ring then." And so they started going. My grandfather was chasing him down, but he couldn't hit him. Harry knew how to slip, slide, and move. My grandfather didn't know that. So Harry said, "Let me show you something." He said, "If you can do this and move and try this." My grandfather did it and knocked Harry flat down, cold. And Harry was like, "Oh man, no, you can punch." You know what I mean? He said, "I'm gonna take you." So he took him, and they went to Philadelphia. And about 2 or 3 weeks, he only had 3 fights on his belt. So they asked him to get into the ring with some guys that were headliners. He got into the ring and he was knocking them all around, man, beating them all up. And the guy who had him in there, he took him out of the ring. And then Harry went over to him and said, "Where can we get him an amateur license?" And he looked at Harry and he said, "Amateur license for who? Him?" He said, "The hell, he's not an amateur. He's a professional." He only had 3 fights. So again, this is the work level and the dedication that Armstrong had. And I want to say this all stems back from his mother at birth. You know, she predicted that he would be great and no one will come after him after his judgment day. So again, what she prophesied over his life is absolutely true. Armstrong had a lot of ladies in his life who had power. My grandmother would predict his fights. She would have a dream from her grandmother, from her mother would come and tell her what had happened. So what took place was on that first fight for his championship, Peter Sharon, she told him that her mother had said that he was going to knock him out in the 4th round, but she came too soon. It happened in the 6th round, and he knocked that guy out. Peter Sharon was a serious champion. He's had over 142 fights and never been knocked out. Henry Armstrong knocked him out and took his title. And then went to Barney Ross, gave Barney Ross the worst beating in his life, and he gave him mercy. Between the trainers, they talked about one another not to knock him out. So he didn't knock Barney out. He let him go out with dignity. But they became friends, and Barney worked with him also. But at this point, from there, he jumped into the lightweight, Lou Amber. And, that was a tough fight. My grandfather had cut his mouth in sparring session. Lou Amber opened up that cut. And let me tell you, this is what I want to show you the difference between a champion. My grandfather does not quit. He does not give up. And let me tell you why. I'm going to go back a little bit so you can understand this, so I can take it there. Reason why he doesn't quit: when he was a young kid, his mother had a rooster that she would whoop if anybody would touch that rooster. Henry Armstrong chased that rooster for an hour and killed it, caught it. He was the only one. And she told him, if you go after things in life like that, I don't have to worry about you. You will be successful. So he knew never to give up. And let me share something else with you real quick. His sister, Henrietta, she was his older sister. She would go to school and take Henry with her. He would sit and listen and learn from her. One day, a bigger kid was beating Henry up. His sister got word of it. She showed up, pulled the boy off of him, tore into that boy so bad, it took 2 adults to pull them off of her. Henry saw that and looked at that. And so that was his technique. So he knew in order to fight someone, stay on them. Go towards them. Don't stop. Take care of business. And that's exactly what he did. So with that saying, getting back to that 3rd championship fight with Lou Ambers, once his mouth was cut inside, he told the referee, the referee said, if you spit on that in the ring one more time, we're going to stop the fight. My grandfather told his corner, take the mouthpiece out of my mouth. He swallowed his own blood for 6 rounds straight to make history. Now that's a champion. And he knew not to give up. And we have that same spirit, our foundation. I'm never giving up that spirit. And this is what I want people to embrace: failure, disappointment, obstacles. Don't be afraid of it. Challenge it. It's there to make you grow, to better you. If you stop, you quit, you lose. He's not a loser, he's a winner. And for the story that I know behind him, the things that he put, every person, I don't care what your field is, what your profession is, you need to take notes how to have the same type of character and principles and integrity when it comes down to your craft, your profession. And so that's my thing in terms of, making sure that people understand how deep Henry Armstrong is. And there's some things that if I tell you, you wouldn't even believe it. And I'm going to share one with you just right now. When he was fighting here in Los Angeles, Pasadena, there was guys, but back in those days, they had the name on the walls, who was fighting who and who was going to be fighting that day. They had Henry Armstrong's name up there. And everybody says, I'm not fighting Henry Armstrong. I'm not fighting him. No, I'm not fighting him. And what they did was, have you ever heard of them taking a fighter and putting a fighter in a different building altogether, away from the venue? They had him hidden in another building. And when it was time for him to come and fight, he would come down that aisle, running down that aisle, because he had to keep his rate going. He had a muscular heart where he would do 12 to 15 rounds in the dressing room before he come out and entertain another 15 rounds. He was nonstop, man. And so when he came out down that aisle, the guy saw him coming and the crowd was howling and screaming. Where was Henry Armstrong? When he came out, the guy fainted in the ring. The commission, straight out before he even hit him, Hank just threw a punch. He didn't hit the guy. The guy fainted. He was that scared. And then not only, this is a true story. And not only that, Armstrong, they told him, the commissioner told him, blot out that robe. That robe you're wearing is scaring people. He has the crossbones on the back. Matter of fact, it's the same shirt I got on right now. This is on the back of the shirt. I don't know if you can see the crossbones. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah. I got that shirt.
Yeah, you got
I got that
that.
shirt.
Well, anyway, that was on his robe, man. And people were afraid of him, of that robe when he come in there. They knew he was a knockout artist. They would not mess with him. He was knocking them out, man. And he was serious about it. He loved boxing. He dedicated himself to boxing 1,000%. I never heard of a story of anybody was more dedicated to Henry Armstrong. He would run the school. He would work as a pin boy. And he would fight, and he would save money and buy his equipment and go out there and be so dedicated to his craft that he wanted to be a super athlete. And a lot of people didn't realize that. And so that's what I want people to understand about Henry Armstrong. And it's really disrespectful for fighters today, past or present, who are not giving him his proper due, man. Now, I understand the concept of when you're head and shoulders above the rest, they refuse to call you the best. And so what I'm looking at is, again, they always constantly comparing my grandfather to these other fighters. Look at the stories, look at the articles. They always mention his name. Now, if he's number 4, number 5, or number 6, number 7 on nobody, why do you keep mentioning his name? Why do you keep trying to compare with him? So you cannot do what God has done. This is what I want people to understand. This is God doing this. And let me explain something to you. Why I know it's God? Because the numbers keep following me. 333. Everywhere I go, I pick up my phone. It's in the foundation paperwork. My business card for my real estate business have 333 in it. Now, how do I do that? I can show you personally. You can look at my credit card, business card. I don't make the numbers. It's on my business card. When I sign for my stuff, 333, the numbers are there. It's constantly there. You know, so I know it's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. God had a plan for Henry Armstrong, and not only that it blessed him, it blessed other fighters. He helped other fighters. He helped Joe Louis win that second fight with Max Mellon. People didn't know about it. It was Jack Blackburn who called my grandfather to Joe Louis training camp to help Joe Louis win that fight. My grandfather showed Joe how to go in there and knock out Max Mellon in the first round. That was Henry Armstrong. And in fact, Henry Armstrong manager, Eddie Meade, was in the dressing room with Joe Louis when that fight was taken, before that fight took place. So I knew my grandfather helped Joe, but he didn't get the credit for that either. Now, if you are a fighter, a welterweight, lightweight, featherweight, how is a lightweight, welterweight, featherweight making heavyweight champions? Joe Frazier, I love him. He's an amazing fighter. He wrote a letter. He said no other fighter inspired him other than Henry Armstrong. Again, that's a champion that used Armstrong's style, philosophy, and became champion, and also beat Muhammad Ali. So let's look at that. So I'm looking at facts here. I'm not going by what person said. There are other great fighters. Yes, there are great fighters. I'm not taking nothing away from them. They are wonderful fighters. But what I'm simply saying is that Henry Armstrong is, in order to be number one, you have to be odd. John, I mean, he's the only one who's done what he's done. No other fighter can do it or will be able to do it. So when you start comparing him, it's disrespectful. How would you feel if you've done something no one else can do in the world, and then I say this person over here is better than you? Does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense to me. It's not intelligent. So I don't care about what these people say. I don't care about your money. I don't care about your house. None of that stuff. It doesn't mean anything. I'm happy for you. It's a blessing. You better appreciate it, and you better do good with it, because God is watching. And I'm telling you right now, God was behind it. And what God does, no one can stop it. So I don't care what nobody said. It's God, man. And notice how they always try to put in and say, oh, this person has done what he's done. This person. No, you have not done what he's done. Armstrong titles were undisputed. That means there was no other champion. So if you held titles simultaneously, you can't hold them simultaneously together no more. Even if you did have them simultaneously, it wasn't undisputed. So you did not do what Armstrong did. Stop saying that. That's disrespectful to that man's legacy. And this is all I'm simply saying. That when the film and movies, this man's film and movie should have been out. And this story, I'm telling you, it has nothing but Hollywood written all over it. And God is in this story. And that's why we're calling it Gloves, Glory, and God, America, and God's champion. God's champion in America, excuse me. God put the vision. God gave it to his mother, America. His mother prophesied over Henry Armstrong's life. And that's why it happened, man. I mean, there's nothing in the world can stop what God's done. And this is why I'm trying to get people to understand this story needs to be told. And not only does it need to be told, it's going to inspire others. It's going to show that you had nothing and made something out of your life. 25 cents he didn't have to his name, but he believed. And his faith was so strong. And that's why our organization, we adopt his moving forward style. We don't let nothing stop us. We don't let money stop us. We don't let support, none of that stuff stop us. We keep moving forward because we know God is going to make it happen. I've been through so much with this foundation. I can write a book. You wouldn't believe it, the stuff. But God, I can show how God stepped in and made it happen. I had people come against me for no reason at all. And John, you can attest to it. I mean, we don't have to get into it, but you know what I'm talking about. I've seen this kind of stuff go on. And like I said again, it's just a reflection of your character. And then what makes it so bad, it hurts so bad, is that a lot of people and fans, I hear them, they call me. They say, hey, Edward, I saw such and such was on television. And they asked that person who they thought was such and such. They didn't mention your grandfather. They didn't mention him. Why? Because again, if I understand boxing is a competitive sport, I understand it's not a team effort, whereas one guy wants to be the best. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, whatever your accomplishments, it's going to speak for you. It's going to show you. And the Bible says, don't brag and boast about yourself. Let others speak about you. So whenever you got somebody saying, I'm this, that, and the other, I don't buy into that. It's what the people say. Why do you have to say it? If you're great, you don't have to say it. Someone else is going to say it for you. They're going to look and see the facts. But again, with this younger generation, they're not looking into their facts. They're just going by what this popular guy looks like and what he's saying, and they believe it, man. And it really is disrespectful for you to sit there and say, any fighter to this day in his weight class, to sit there and say that they broke all the records when in fact they have not broken the records. It's total disrespectful. It's misleading. And like I said, again, my grandfather paved the way for a lot of these guys that you see today. You know, they're making a lot of money, but again, that's about it. That's the only thing you have over my grandfather, is that you made more in his career. But you got to look at it too. In his time and era, the money that he made was sufficient for his era. But again, these guys here do not put the fans and the sport of boxing first the way it should be. And the rewards will always come after you do the work.
Well, you mentioned something about, right. So we're also talking about he was more than a boxer as well. So why don't you give us a little insight into what the foundation is about?
Well, the foundation is about continuing his spirit and helping young kids and doing God's work, and to build a culture of positive thinking, to help young kids discover their life, to show them that here's a guy who didn't have anything, who came in the Great Depression, who believed himself, had faith, and made it happen. And so we're telling young kids to get a vision for their life, a purpose, to dream big, to think big, to have faith, and to take action, massive action. And we're here to lead that path to show them how to do it. And if you believe, you have to see the end in the beginning. My grandfather, again, didn't have 25 cents, but he was calling things that be not as though they were. And let me say this about thoughts right now. All of us on this line right now can do this little analysis right now. Now, do thoughts move faster than light? Let me show you. Now, do this here. Think of the sun. Think of the earth. Did you do that? Just think of the sun, think of the earth. Now, your thoughts have moved from the sun to the earth faster than light. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying here is that your thoughts is faster than the speed of light, sound, and also the movement of earth. It moves over a billion something per second. So your thoughts are powerful. So what you think, you become. As a man thinketh, so is he. So I'm telling young kids, believe in yourself. Start thinking positive. Do not add negativity in your thoughts, because you will become what you think about. And so it all starts there. And to show them to embrace failure, to embrace obstacles. I love it. I take adversity. I challenge it, man. I hit it right straight on the face, knock it in the face. You know, don't give up. And that's how you win. Because see, your success is in failure. And a lot of people let failure stop them. And when that's the reason why they're not successful. You know, you got to keep going, and no matter what. And so that's why I'm saying here, it doesn't matter. I know God got us. We're going to get there. It may take me, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I guarantee you we will get there with the right attitude and effort. These are two things that we tell young kids that you have control over. Number one, you have control over your efforts and your attitude. Now, those two things you have control over, and those two things you're going to use to guide you to get to your purpose in life. And so that's why here at the Henry Armstrong Foundation, we encourage young kids to take vision boards. I personally give out clothes, toys, gifts to kids to inspire them in the community. So we're going to be going out to the community, walking out there, talking to them, passing out, reaching these kids, grabbing them, because this is a culture, and a culture requires consent. And that's why I need people to get behind us, to help us, to donate. 100% of our proceeds, donations that we get, we put in the program and administration costs. I don't take a salary. I give out of my business back to this organization. And I see how people are not receiving it. They're looking at the negative stuff. Look at the positive stuff. You want to see what we're doing? Come get involved. Be a part of this. It takes us. It's not about me. It's about we, a community, a culture, coming together, making change, encouraging these young minds to get a purpose for their life, to challenge themselves, to become successful, and to give back, man, to have the right attitude. Don't get up here boasting and bragging and all this kind of stuff. That's not doing anything. That's ego, man. You edging out God. Let that go. And my grandfather, like I said again, he was a man of God. He stood for God. He believed in God. He was about God. This is what this foundation is about: helping, giving back, doing things what God wants you to do, man, to help, make a difference. And so how do you get involved? You contact us, you help us, you support us, you get involved, we get out there, we encourage these young kids, we get behind them and lead by example, a leader, a character. I accept 100% responsibility for this organization. The good, the bad, I take it all. And I had people who come into us and volunteer who tried to poke holes and didn't want to stay and try to get people to turn against us. John knows it. He knows personally what I've been through. And I've been through many things. I don't want to say it right now on here, but I've been through so much trying to do God's work to help people, man. I'm being judged, overlooked, and disrespected. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I have the power inside of me. Greater is he that is in me that's in the world. And I know that I can do this with God's help. Nothing is impossible. And so what I'm asking people to get behind us, to see this vision and let us know, because I'm talking about things that happened before a lot of these cats were even born, man. They don't have a clue. And like I said, again, you're sitting here up here boasting and bragging and disrespecting a man that cared about you. My grandfather cared about I'm gonna say this because and what Black folks were going through in those eras, he cared about Black folks. They told him to take a dive, man, for the middleweight champion. They were gonna kill him. He did not take that dive. He loved his people. He cared about his people. And like I said, to the day, every Black fighter, I'm just saying this right now, especially these ones out here are doing well, you ought to look back and respect that man and stop disrespecting him. Stop going on here telling these lies and telling these kids and people that you're the best. You're this, that, and the other. Stop it, man. You know what I mean? Your record cannot compare to him. This man has more knockouts than these guys have fights. And like I said, again, I challenge any welterweight or anybody right now to go 5 fights in 23 days in 5 cities and see if you can do that. And 15 rounds on top of that. We're not talking 12 rounds, we're talking 15 rounds. So why are you comparing this man when he's doing 15 rounds and you're doing 12 rounds, but you're better than him? Oh, he can beat him. No, you can't. If you was in the ring with my grandfather, man, you wouldn't know what this man would do to you. He was a beast, man. I'm telling you now, this man was not playing. The same way Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant studied their craft, my grandfather studied boxing the same way. And that's what people don't understand. You just can't give somebody something. You got to earn that, man. And like I said again, with Sugar Ray Robinson tried to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. He wanted 3 titles simultaneously. Matter of fact, he wanted it so bad, they even made a movie, Honey Boy, and had Sugar Ray Robinson come in the ring saying he was the only fighter with 3 rings, 3 championships, okay? So again, look at your facts straight. Even before Sugar Ray Robinson fought my grandfather, I have an article where they talked about who was pound for pound, who was the best fighter. Henry Armstrong was pound for pound, and I think Joe Louis was the best the heaviest puncher, and Jack Johnson, I think, was the best defense. That's what they said at that time. And that was before the same year before they fought. So I'm looking at articles and stuff that's in facts, that's concrete, that tells things that these people know nothing about. But then you're gonna jump and see it's a popularity contest. So then everybody said, oh, well, Ray. They're saying that now because it's a popular thing to say. But when you do your facts, Ray, if Ray's better than him, how come Ray didn't win 3 titles simultaneously when he wanted to? Think about that. Yeah. And so that's all I'm simply saying, man. It's like, it's not a popularity contest. I love Ray Robinson. There's no disrespect to him. But at the same time, I'm not letting people disrespect my grandfather.
No doubt.
You know, and that's all I'm saying. That man worked, he dedicated, he loved you guys, man. I'm telling you right now, he loved his people. And it breaks my heart to see these clowns, excuse my language, out here, man, saying what they're saying and doing what they're saying, man, instead of respecting somebody who loved and respect your family before you even put on a pair of gloves. I'm telling you that right now. Know your history. He's like Dr. King. He was down with it, man. He had morals, integrity, and he worked for God. After retiring from boxing, he helped young kids. He dedicated his life. He wanted these kids to be successful. So the Henry Armstrong Foundation, that's why we're taking what he did. We're telling young kids, when Henry Armstrong was young, he had an idea that he was going to be successful. So we have a program. We tell young kids, get an idea. What you want to be, do, and have in life. You can do it. But if you don't have any directions or purpose or goals, you can't succeed. And so that's what we're telling young kids, to get a purpose, a dream, take action, and help your community.
And where can they, you said to contact you, where can they contact you for the Henry Foundation?
Well, you can contact me at www.henryarmstrongfoundation.org. Or personally, you can call me personally at 323-533-2313 to get involved. We're working on a documentary, so I want to tell all the facts. And, you know, I have footage that was given to us from HBO. I have him speaking for Larry Merchant. I have Mike Tyson speaking on him, how he inspired him, you know, as a young kid. And so, again, matter of fact, I even remember when Mike Tyson called his wife, which was my step-grandmother time, and he called to invite him, called several times to speak to him. See, Mike paid respect. That's what a lot of people don't know. Mike called this man several times and then also arranged for him to come to the fight. And so again, he understood greatness, that the guys that came behind him, what it was about. So if you're really dedicated to your craft, I don't care what it is, you're going to respect those who respected the business. And Henry Armstrong respected boxing, and he does not deserve to be disrespected, man. And that's all I'm saying to these guys. I don't care about your wealth, what you got going, that's fine. God bless you. But at the same time, stop disrespecting this man, talking about you're better than him, when in fact you're not. It's the facts, man. You've made more money, sure, that's great. God bless you. But at the same time, stop disrespecting Henry Armstrong.
No doubt.
I think that says it all. When do you think the documentary is going to be completed? Do you have any idea?
Well, see, right now, here's the thing, what's going on. Then see, this is another sad part I want to say to you guys. Here it is. This man doesn't even have a statue in his honor. This man does not even have a street named after him. You see, I went to the fact where I went to his hometown and I told them and wrote to them and talked with the mayor there. And they're going to name a street after him there. But right now with the COVID-19, the pandemic going on right now, it kind of slowed things up. And like I said, again, I had people who say they want to help and get involved. And sometimes, you know, here's another thing too, that's really difficult, guys. When someone, how can I put it? When somebody has a lot of power, right? Let's say, for instance, you know, you have a lot of power, right? And then I say something about somebody who you don't like or don't want to be mentioned. I don't want to say that because I know it's going to offend you. So the help doesn't really come where it should be coming, because they're afraid to rub this guy over here who has this going on, because this guy over here is going to get back with you because he doesn't want you mentioning this guy, because this guy mentioning him is going to make him not look like who he really is, who he think he is. You understand what I'm saying? So again, it's all about egos, man. And so that's the reason why a lot of times it stops certain things. But again, I know this, God is in control, and I have all the patience in the world. I'm working on this documentary. I want to get the truth out because I want him to know the truth of what's going on in terms of Henry Armstrong, and give him his respect, man. And then at the same time, here's the thing too, we're also with this film, we're helping give him back. The money proceeds percentage of that is going to help the community. It's going to go back. It's going to do good. That's what we want to do with his legacy. We want his legacy to be able to help and give back, because that's what God gave. God blessed. This is a God thing, man. He blessed him to do this. And no other fighter, like I said, again, has a story like this, man. I'm telling you now. There's some stuff that I know, I'm not even saying right now, but I know for a fact that he is an amazing guy, inside and out of the ring. My grandfather, I loved him so much. Still love him, man. Wish he was here with me. You know, we could be doing more, getting it done. But at the same time, I'm grateful and thankful for everyone who gets behind us, who helps us and give us an opportunity. But it's a struggle, man, because like I said, again, our kids are so lost. They're not focused. Their minds are all on the internet, all over the place, man. And I'm trying to get them to understand that your real wealth is inside yourself, man. Your thoughts, your mind creates your reality. And so that's what we're teaching young kids, man, and showing them and giving them examples and let them visualize seeing the end in the beginning and having faith, because that's what he had. He did not, if he would have quit and gave up, he would have never made it, man. All the obstacles were against him, you know. So I'm thanking God for every day that I have this opportunity. I'm humble. I'm grateful to be in this position. I'm not taking it for granted. And like I said, again, whatever we can do to help and serve, that's what I want to be. I'm a servant, man. Just giving back.
Guys, we appreciate you being here, Edward. And anything we can do to help with the project, let us know. And when the documentary comes a little bit closer to where we can start to promote it, let us know what we can do.
Man, it would be an honor, you know. And a matter of fact, this what we're talking right here may even be in it. You know, again, so
you use whatever you need to use.
I promised you an article and more coverage on this documentary, so you know it's going to happen. So you just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And, you know, I love your dedication, and I know that your grandfather would be very, very, very proud of you. So, because as you said, I have seen some of the obstacles thrown in your direction over the last 5 years. So it was so great to meet you a number of years ago in person. And like I said, I love people that are passionate, and you either inherited that from your grandfather or whatever, but your determination is fantastic. As you guys, Frank and Charles, can see, this man is going to get it done no matter how long it takes.
No matter how long it takes. Can I say this one thing, guys? You know, 14 to 15 years ago, before I started the organization, I spoke with a writer, right? And he told me, he says, let's do an affluent breakfast. And not, because I told him, I said, listen, the Midnight Mission is where my grandfather came here in downtown. He didn't have anywhere to eat and sleep. So what he did was he went to this mission. They took him in. So to this day, we adopt that mission and give back. But before that, the guy told me, he says, you know what, do a affluent breakfast. Don't go down to Skid Row. Don't go with them. Go to a special area and do this, right? I told him, no. I still have that letter to this day. And I told him I was going to start the foundation. He said, that's going to be too difficult for you. The very next year, I formed the organization, did all the paperwork, everything myself, because you know what? You do not tell me what I cannot do. And so I've done that. And I have that letter. I look at that as my motivation. 15 years ago, I have it to this day. And like I said, again, I use that as motivation to show people. And everything I'm doing is documented. And the facts and things that I'm talking, I can back it up. I have facts on it. I even have articles where my grandfather said this. And I also have video that he's going to say some things that's going to shock a lot of people. And they're going to realize, man, that, you know, wow, this is deep. You know what I mean? He said it himself. I have it on tape, bro. I'm just going to put this together and make sure I want it to get out, because I want young people to see this, man. I want them to see the difference between what real greatness look like, what it is to have nothing and to become something, you know. And this is not boasting or bragging. God gets the glory. God was on the Armstrong story. He told him he was to be his champion. And so again, you know, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. And like I said, again, we can use support, donations coming in. Like I said, when the donations come in, we show you guys what we do with it. Just not too long ago, we took clothing and toys down to the Midnight Mission. This is the same mission that my grandfather, they adopted him. And we took the kids toys and clothing. And we're working on the food program right now too. Because see, things have changed so much with the pandemic, where it used to be where you can go to the mission where the people live and make the sandwiches and food and breakfast and stuff for them. You can't do that anymore because of the virus. So we have to figure out a way how to make it outside and take it down to them so these people can eat. And there's so many people that's on the street starving and suffering right now that breaks my heart, man. And I see these guys, like I said again, this is what I'm saying. Get involved, help us. Let's build property, land, get these people off the street. Let's do something constructive with this money instead of buying 5, 10, 15, 20 cars. You know what I'm saying? That's not doing nothing. As a matter of fact, let me say this real quick. Cars is metal. Metal comes from the earth. Money comes from paper. Paper comes from a tree. Tree comes from the earth. So diamonds, that comes from the earth. So the earth, your thoughts and power, that's where the real power is. As a matter of fact, power is defined as speed. Again, thoughts are your fastest. Then the earth, the sound, and light. So your thoughts, man, that's where it's at. Positive thinking, that's where that keeps me going no matter how bad things get, is to believe. And Jesus said, only to those who believe. Blessings to you guys, man. I appreciate it. I know I can go on and on and on, guys. I don't want to take too much. I'm just passionate about it, man. I feel it. I live it 7 days a week, 365 days, and like I said, again, it's a lot of pain and struggle in my position, man, to try to walk and fill my grandfather's shoes and tell his story and get his legacy out, man. It's in this time and age, it's really difficult because you got it's a circus, man, a lot of clowns out here. You know what I mean? And so it makes it difficult for people to get the right message. But at the same time, we're trusting God, and we know he has the final say. He made everybody and everything, and he made Armstrong who he was. And for those who are disrespecting him, they got another thing coming. God's going to deal with it in due time.
Well, I think it's a perfect way with that passion to end out this year and to kick off the next one. So thank you once again. Like I said, when we get closer to getting everything with the documentary and whatever, please come on back and we'll talk some more.
It would be my pleasure, you guys. And listen, it was an honor, and thank you guys for taking the time to even listen to what I have to say. It means a lot to us. And like I said again, I know my grandfather's in heaven right now, looking down, smiling at you cats, man. You guys are amazing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and God bless you, and be safe in this pandemic. And I want to say one thing too. Prayers and blessings to everyone who lost their lives in this pandemic and everything's going on. This is why it's even more important that we come together as a culture and work together in these difficult times. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter about the color and skin. And I'm gonna give you guys this one too, real quick. My grandfather's great-grandfather was white. So I'm white, I have Indian, I have all this stuff mixed in me. I don't look at color, I judge you by your character, man. And that's what it is, and it's as real as it get on that end. So I just want people to understand that, it's all one love. We don't judge. We don't care what your color is. We care about your character, how you conduct yourself. And we understand that our people, African-Americans, are going through more than what other people are going through. We realize that we're not naive about that as well. But like I said, again, we're there for everybody. We love everybody, and we know the struggle. And we're trying to make a difference by bringing up a younger generation to understand that this is a culture of giving and thinking positive and making change, man, that the world really needs right now today. So thank you so much, you guys. God bless you.
God bless. Take care, Edward.
Take care. See you later. You got it. Bye now.
Bye.